Okay, the first one is about what is the data type. The data type is nothing but one type of process how we can store the data. For example, if I want to store the numbers, I can store one type of data type. If I want to store the character, I can use one type of data type. The same way, there are different types of data types we have in the Python. Generally, we can call them as a normal data types and the sequential data types and so on. So if you say the numerical or data types are the normal data types, we can call them as a integer types and float, char, etc. These type of data we call them as a normal data type values. Where in case of sequence data type, we have tuple, list, dictionary, tuple, list, dictionary. These are the different types of sequence data types. We have also have the set data type also. So if you want to store the general values, numerical values or the decimal values or the character values, we can use these kind of basic data types. But if you say example, if you want to store any data, you must have to understand what type of data we have to store. Are you storing the numbers? Are you storing the number with the reducible places? Are you storing the Boolean values like true or false? Depend upon the values we are stored, we have to understand what type of data we are storing. That based upon that, we can able to use the different types of data types which we have to use. But the advantage of Python is the Python, there is no need to specify the data type initially. For example, in the C programming, if you want to store the integer, we have to say integer A. So here A is nothing but a variable which allow us to store an integer value. So that's why we can call it as int A. Or the meaning of the statement is we are declaring one variable with the name A that will accept the integer value. If you want to store the decimal values, we have to say float. Character values, we have to say some char. String values, we have to say some string R. So these kind of data we need to mention in the case of C. But C directly we don't have the C string, we have different values called the character arrays. Char S1 of 20, which will allow us to store the string. So here you
Yes,
have
sir.
to understand what data type we have to store. According to we have to declare in the other programming language C or Java. But in
Yes,
case
sir.
of Python, there is no need to specify the type of data like integer, float,
Mm.
character. Why we no need to specify the data means there is no declaration part in Python. We can directly declare and initialize the values. For example, if you say A equal to 10, the compiler itself understand or the interpreter can understand itself that we are storing an integer value into the variable A. If you say here A equal to 10.5, A equal to
10.5.
10.5,
Mm.
it indicates that we are storing a
Float
decimal
value.
value. We are storing a decimal value or the floating value.
Yes,
Say
sir.
for example, A equal to some S, I am storing a character. A equal
Yes.
to some hello, I am storing a string. A equal to false. I am storing a boolean. So whenever you give the value to a variable, then only you can understand the data type. That is the advantage of
Okay.
Python. So the Python, there is no need to worry about the data type initially. We can directly assign values to the variables. Based upon the values you are assigning, it can understand, the compiler or interpreter can understand and consider the different types of data. Now the question, sir, I have declared A equal to 10. If I change here A equal to 10.5, is it acceptable or not? Because initially I am assigning the integer value for the variable A. I am trying to
Yes, sir.
assign the floating value for A. Is it acceptable? Yes, it is acceptable.
Yes.
Because the Python, we have no worry about the data type values. So the same variable, we can use the integer value. For the same variable, we can give the float value. For the same variable, you can give the character value, string value, boolean value. You can give any kind of value. That's the advantage of Python. Now the question. Initially, I am giving the value 10. Next, I am changing to floating. Next, I am changing to character. Next, I am changing to string. Finally, I am using the boolean. Now, what we can understand, the variable A finally stores the value, that is the boolean value. Sir, why it cannot hold the 10 value? Because the variable can hold only one value at a time. That's why
Yes, sir.
when you say A equal to 10, it stores 10. When you say A equal to 10.5, the 10 will be removed and 10.5 will be replaced. If A equal to S, the 10.5 will be removed and S will be replaced. The A equal to hello, the S will be removed and hello will be replaced. Finally, if you say A equal to false, what will happen? The hello will be removed and the false will be stored. So this is the advantage of Python. Okay, let's see one example here. So this is about the concept of Python. So now the question, what is the variable here? What is the variable here? The variable is nothing but a data element which can hold a single value. Sometimes or multiple values. So multiple values we can decide later. So this is simply single value. So if we say A equal to 10, the 10 will be happen B equal to 1.5. B is a variable holds the floating point number. C equal to hello. The C is a variable that holds the string, etc.
Yes, sir.
So why I specifically mention a single value means whenever you change the value, the previous value will be erased. If you say A equal to 12, the 12 will be placed. B equal to 12, B in B 1 point will be placed. C equal to hello will be placed. But if you say again A equal to 16 or 17, the 12 will be removed and 16 will be placed. That you have to understand. And next to the
Yes, sir.
point, what is the constant here? The constant is nothing but a data element which can hold single value and it cannot be changed. Can't be changed. Here in case of here the data of single value, and it can be changed. In the case of variable, we can change the value. See here, say A equal to 12, now you can able to place A equal to 7.5 or something. It is acceptable. This is called changing the values. In case of constant, we cannot change. What are the values we have defined? That we have to continue. So example for such type of values are pi value is an example for the constant value. So this is the data type, values, and the constant. Now, how do you accept values for a variable? Now there are different methods we have. The first one I will say here, initializing a variable is one of the method. So how do this one? To say a equal to 67. It is called I am assigning a value 67 into the variable a. What's the meaning of this one? It means
Va-
that we are assigning
a value to
a value to a variable
variable.
A. Which value? A
Yes.
value 67 to a variable. This is one method. The second method, initializing multiple values. Initializing multiple values. So how do you do this one? I will say a equal to 67 and again say a equal to 7.8, the a equal to 12. So this is called, we are assigning, try to assign the multiple values for the same variable. The
Yes, sir.
third one, initializing different variables with the same value. Example, a is one variable, comma, b is one variable, comma, c is one variable equal to 10. What's the meaning of
Yes,
this
sir.
one?
Assigning 10 value to a comma
We
b comma
are
c variables.
assigning the value 10 to the variables a comma b comma c. This is one type of method. And next one, initializing different
Values to different variables.
variables with a different.
Values.
You say here a comma b comma c equal to
Equals to
10
10
comma
comma
12.
20 comma 30. Yes, sir.
So what the meaning of this one here? It
Assigning a value to 12.
assign values 10, 20, 12, and 14 to the variables a comma b and c.
And C.
So this is a method we can declare the different methods whatever we have. And next come to the point. How to input value to a variable. How to input value to the variable. So input, it means we have to assign. So when you assign, whenever you execute the program, so here see, what's the meaning of input here? Means nothing but you are able to give the values once the program is executed, execution starts. So here I will use one method that is called input. This method helps us to input data to a variable. So here the data means any type, either integer or the float, char, string, boolean, whatever the topic, the data we can do. But what you have to do is we have to specify the data type along with the input method. Along with the input. So why we need to specify the data type also? Because we don't know understand, because whenever you input, we can't say that till that one. You may give the integer value, you may give the float value. That's why we have to
Yes, sir.
specify the input value. What is the data type you want to give?
Yes,
I'll
sir.
give one example here. I will say A equal to input. What is the meaning of this one? This statement allow user to give data to the variable A. If the question, the data can be of any type. But default is string. Default is string.
String.
Because whenever you declare any variable, it takes string value only. Even if you give the
Yes, sir.
number, it will treat as string. For example, if you say A equal to int input, this statement allow user to give data to the variable A. The data must be. So now try to understand the difference between the previous one, this one. This will take the default
Yes, sir.
string. This will take the integer.
Integer.
If you say here A equal to float of input,
It will take the float value as in.
accepts float. Okay, this type of we have to mention. It's a boolean, they have to say boolean.
Yes, sir.
Next, come to the point here. User message along with the input. Along with the input. So what is the meaning of this statement? So if you say, for example, A equal to input, then what will happen? The cursor will be blink at one place. If you give the value, it will store in the A. As a
Yes, sir.
programmer, you know what you are going to give. But the general people cannot understand what you have to do. For example, if you want to find the radius of area of a circle, if you say, please enter the radius, then anybody can understand. If you don't give
Yes, sir.
any message or prompt to the user cannot understand what they have to enter. So in
Yes,
this
sir.
case, what we have to do is we can provide the user message along with the input. See an example here, I will do like this. A equal to int input enter value for. So what's the meaning of this one? It will display a message enter value for A and the cursor will be blink.
Yes,
Then
sir.
whatever the value you have entered, that will store to the A. So when you give these kind of statements, the user can easily understand what you are trying to ask. For example, if you say enter the date of birth, So you have to go, okay, I have to enter the data part. Enter your name, enter your course. So whenever, whatever the input you are trying to give to the system is easy to understand to the user, it will be very, very easy to understand the application. That's why, see, most of the cases when you develop any applications, they'll give the clear information that what you have to enter. Like when you fill
Yes,
the
sir.
application form for the MCET or the engineering courses, they'll give the first name, middle name, last name. You don't say any first name, middle name, and last name messages. What will happen? You cannot understand whether you have to give the first name first or the last name first or the surname last. That's why, for the convenience of the users, we can able to provide a message along with the input. Say, for example, date of birth, or for example, otherwise, city equal to input
Enter
enter
your city.
capital of India.
So,
So now people can easily understand. So they are asking that the capital of India. I will give the Delhi. The Delhi is the city. So this is the
yes,
way that we can give the input to the program. So we can
okay, sir.
understand the input method. The input purpose of the input method is to input data to a program or application. What kind of data we can give? We can integer, float, character, string, boolean, etc. But we have to specify the data type along with the input method. When you have to specify, if you want to give the values like an integer and a float or boolean. Otherwise, in the case of string or character, there is no need to specify. We can directly mention the input itself. So now come to the point. The next one is print. So what the purpose of this one? This method helps the user to display the message or a result of a program. For example, if you say print hello Python. So what we'll get? We'll get a message on the screen that hello Python. If you say a equal to int input enter value for a, and then if I say here print a, what will happen? It will accept a integer value and store into the variable a, and that value will be displayed.
Yes, sir.
So what the purpose of the print message here? The print message, the print method helps us to display the messages or
And
the
result of it.
values in the variables or the display the result of the program.
Yes,
For example, I'd give like this. You say A equal to so and so, and again the B equal to so and so, and C equal to A plus B, and we say prints. So what will happen? The first line, it will ask the value for A. The second line, it will ask the value for B. The third line, both will be added and stored into the C, and finally print. So this is the method way we have to use the print method. And moreover, we can also display, see, we can also display message along with the message and value together. For example, I can print like this, print sum of A and B is like this. What is the meaning of this one? Will give the clear picture to the user. The sum of the first number and the second number is C. What the
Yes.
C? Whatever the value we are giving. We can give another way also here. Print sum of. I will stop here. Use A. Again, I will use end here. Stop here. B. Again, I will say is and stop. This is one more method. So what is the difference between this line and this line? In this line,
It will.
let me say sum of A and B is something. Here
Yes,
in
sir.
this case, we'll get the clear message that the sum of the first value and the second value, for example, I have given like this here, 12 and 15. Now what could be the output here? The C value is
27.
27. Here we'll get the value is 27. This statement, what's the output here? We'll get the message like sum of A and B is 27.
27.
In this case, we'll get the message like
Sum
sum of
of
12
12
and
and 15.
15 is 27.
27.
Now, what you could understand here, the first one is a simple output. The second one is somewhat better than the first one. The last one is very good communication to the user. The clear
Yes, sir.
information. So, depend upon our interest level, we have to decide which have to use.
Yes, sir.
So, in my application, I am using the Thony THONNY, which is one of the IDE for the Python. I am using this one. If you
Okay,
want to
sir.
use, you can install. Otherwise, if you want to use the Jupyter Notebook, you can use a Jupyter Notebook or PyCharm also. That is our interest. But methodology is same. Execution
Okay,
process
sir.
remains same. There is no change. See this one. I execute this program now. I will display. See, I will use the first method here, print. If I say here the print and execute the program, I will get a message, hello Python. Simple program, single line. If I say here, print, we'll say here, hello, and again here, print Python. What will happen here? See, what will happen here? The spelling is wrong, sorry.
Mm.
See, in this case, what will happen? First line, it display the hello, and second line, it display the Python.
Python.
So if you want to use a different method, we can use the concept is called the slash and
Yes, sir.
we'll go to next line again. See, we'll go to the next line again.
Next line.
So if you want to go to the next line, see, when you use a slash and the one line is decreased here. That's why you can use any type of issues. If you remove the
Yes, sir.
slash and to understand the difference again, it will go to the up one more line upwards.
Yes, sir.
If I say here, print hello plus Python, what will happen?
Hello, Python. Yes, sir.
What will happen?
It
Hello Python.
will add the two strings.
So what is the meaning of the plus symbol here?
Adding.
Adding, not adding, is called a concatenation.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Adding means it is
Concatenate.
applicable for the values only. This is called
Yes, sir.
concatenation. But when you see
And
this one, there is no gap between the two words. If you want to create the gap, we have to use one more that is called the space and again the plus symbol. Now when you observe this one, you can understand the difference the gap is also.
yes, sir.
So the simple use of the print statement, right? So we can use the different types of methods in the print, right? Like this. So here we are using two words in the same line. We have the first word in the one line, the second word in one line. The second case, both the words in the same place. the help of the concatenate operators.
Yes, sir.
And now come to the point here. This program the first statement, I'm giving the value that is the see. Now, what is the output should be? It will give the message first, enter the value for here. See, this is advantage here. So we can able to
Yes,
see the
sir.
message here. I'll give the 12 here. And again, second message, the 17. I'll get the 29. But when you see
Yes, sir.
the output is not clear because we can't understand what the meaning of the 29 here. That's why
Yes,
I'll
sir.
give little bit elaborate. I'll display the output here. The sum of A and B is now when you see this one, you can little bit understand the difference here, 12 and 17, 24. See, you know, you can understand at least. When you see the previous message, okay, the A and B, right? So, okay, A is 12 and B is 17. Somewhat better as compared to the previous. If you want
Sir.
to make it more clear, then what we have to say here, when the sum of
Yeah.
A and B is now see the difference here. I'll give the 10 and the 20 now. See the difference. The very
Yes, sir.
see the first is simple, the vague statement. The second is somewhat better. The third is more elaborated. Everybody can easily understand the statement what we are going to say. So this is
Yes,
the
sir.
way we have to represent the purpose of the input and the use statement. See, if you don't see, for example, if I remove the int statement, what will happen? Let's see.
It will concatenate.
We give same as a 10 and 20 something. See what happened?
1020 is the output. Yes, sir.
How 1020 came?
By the concatenation, sir.
Because whatever the value you are given, that treat as a string.
Yes, sir.
So 10 is one string, 20 is one string, two are concatenated, 10, 20. The second
Yes,
one is
sir.
a 10, 20, 10.
Yes, sir.
So this is the difference between why we have to use the uh, int and the different types of data types here. Because if you
Yes,
say
sir.
here int before this one, we can get the perfect output. If you say input only, it takes the every data as a string type. So which will not be allowed in all the cases.
Yes, sir.
I will explain one more example here. I would like to find the area of a circle. So for this, first we have to you see every program. First we have to mention the purpose of the program. I will write finding the area of a circle. Now a question. How do you find the area of the circle? The formula is pi r square. The pi is the default value. R, we have to take the value. That's why we'll take R equal to, I can say here the float value. So now the question, sir, why you are asking float? Because the float value can access the integer also.
Yes, sir.
Enter the radius.
Very.
Now I will say area equal to 3.141 multiplied by R because the formula is pi r square. R
Yes,
square
yes, sir.
means R into R.
Into R.
I will say here print the area of circle with the radius. With the radius, what the radius here may be given? R is simple. See this example. First it will ask for what's error here. Something use the R here. I will say the radius value is 7. Now it will get the area of a circle with the radius 7. But see the difference here. I have given the integer value, but it's considered as a float value. Why?
Yes, sir.
Because I am taking the value as the float. Now the question, sir, why you take the float? Why can't you take the integer? Because when you multiply the integer with a floating value, the value should not be proper. You will not get the accurate value. That's why we take the float value. Because the
Yes,
float
sir.
value can accept anything. For more clarity to input, we have to give the float value. Okay, I will